How the F do you make friends as an adult if you don't drink? I'm 35. In the last 10 years I can honestly say I have one or two friends that I have kept close contact with. I started getting back into collecting sports cards right before the pandemic hit. Through sharing my passion through Wig I have made probably at least 20 online friends and a few local friends now that I talk to every day, and not just about our favorite hobby. Shed is weird. Volunteering is a great way to make friends as an adult. I was an alcoholic, and one of the hardest parts about stopping drinking was this exact thing. I was worried I would forever be alone if I didn't meet people in bars anymore. Then I found volunteering. Working in a career field with similar people is also amazing. So I've had an idea for ages now of a social club. There would be a bar, but the main draw is that there are rotating themes and sort of a meet-up feel. For example, every first Monday might be dog lover night, first Tuesday might be cat lover night, first Wednesday would be baseball night, first Thursday would be football night, first Friday would be classic movie lover night, etc. Different theme every day of the month. The key though would be that there are multiple areas: a TV, film screening spot, a quiet conversation area, a bar, an outdoor section, for smokers, a game area, etc. Something for everyone. But for people who don't drink, just drink a soda. As long as you have something in your hand, whatever. I agree, and I'm going to emphasize slowly. Just like dating, desperation for companionship can be too much for people to handle. I'm a travel nurse and I travel to different cities for work. I don't try too hard to make real friends, but I consistently show up ready to be engaging and positive. By the time I move on to my next hospital, people are usually emotional about my departure. My best advice would be consistency and positivity. You'll draw friends to you. I have a coworker who is dear to me. We talked about movies, so I sent her a DVD of a movie I like. It's been 3 years and I haven't gotten it back, even though I returned her DVD within the week. She told me she borrowed a tent from the uncle of her boyfriend, and then she didn't give that back, and the way she stored the tent made it moldy and damaged. She also made a trip to Asia and she borrowed this real fancy backpack of a coworker. Guess what she has not yet returned? She's a sweet girl, but this is such a bad habit. I love people who return stuff. Join a sports league. For example, we have Zog Sports. You can join things like kickball or cornhole leagues. Guys and girls play. If they don't have one in your area, maybe start one. Some people on Facebook started a golf group for people who like to play golf in my area. I joined that one to meet new people. You could start a tennis group or even a gaming group. There's a local place near me which is called Play Hoboken. They have get-togethers for pool, tabletop tennis, chess, desktop games, and even Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe look for a similar business in your area. I'm part of a book club. We meet online every month after reading a book and talk about it. I was introduced by a friend. Again, may need to search a bit. Even if you don't drink, you still can go to a bar, order a club soda with a lime. No one is going to know you aren't drinking a vodka soda. All of these are great. I just want to touch on number 4, as I am a bartender in a place that's typically very popular. You're more than welcome to hang out at a bar and not drink. Thrilled to have you, truly. You're gonna be easy to manage and I know you're not gonna get wasted. That being said, club soda costs very little and you probably get free refills. So if you go to a bar and just drink club soda, make sure you tip your bartender appropriately. If you hang out for 2 hours and have 5 club sodas, you'll get a bill for like $4. This means the 20% rule no longer applies. Try to throw your bartender a buck each time they bring you another club soda. It'll only cost you a few dollars and no bartender will scoff at $1 per drink. They'll be thrilled. If you're hanging out at a bar within a restaurant, the bartender probably makes more money off of people dining at the bar. If someone wants to sit at my bar for dinner and can't because Steve is here sitting with his club soda, I might ask Steve to stand up. I love Steve and I want him here, but this other guy wants a steak and a bottle of wine, and that's good real estate. I love my bar regulars who don't drink and they keep me and my bottom line in mind. So come hang at my bar. order a club soda with a lime. No one is going to know you aren't drinking a vodka soda. Also, no decent human gives a flying fuck even if they do know you're not drinking alcohol. If someone asks why booze doesn't agree with me is fine. If they persist, fuck off you bastard is entirely appropriate. I do drink. Sometimes, at some events. I don't. Mostly no one says anything. When people do, they mostly accept I'm not drinking tonight but didn't want to miss hanging out as an answer. When they don't, which is rare, that's a them problem. In this regard, Meetup is a good service to find these things as well. I used this when I moved to a new city temporarily for a few months for work. I was playing sports and really got along with some people. I moved away and lost touch but it was still nice while it lasted rather than just burying myself in work. My only complaint about trying to actually make friends is that the social gathering aspect always seems to be late at night and it's hard to balance sleeping enough and making friends. I started inviting people from online dating sites who said they were looking for friends to play D&D. Some of them were actually looking for friends. I also started a fencing group in my area and advertised it in relevant Facebook groups. A few people showed up and now we occasionally do things that aren't fencing related. Came to suggest D&D or any tabletop RPG at that can all be done virtually now. I was pretty against ever getting into it my whole life. Hell, I was even a dev on a D&D game. Never got into until 2019 though, and regret not starting when I was in elementary school. I did a campaign of random acquaintances and they're all super close friends now. Despite me having to bail because of two of them. I'm going to be starting another campaign this year, and hopefully be creating more friendships as a result. I know OP didn't put the serious tag, but in all seriousness, I find the issue with the hobby route is that people only want to hang out for a specific, hobby-related event, not general friends. The issue is that most people simply don't seem to want general friends or are afraid that someone will be annoying and hence close down the chance for general friendship. I just made a similar a couple days ago with Child Pete. As an adult, it's important to sort of lower expectations of what making friends means, and it's a revelation that I've had to deal with personally. If a person goes in expecting to make a friend to the level like the type one would make in high school or that they will eventually be comfortably asking to be their best man, maid of honor, there's a good chance they're going to end up disappointed. As sad as that sounds, having said that, it doesn't mean that it's impossible to make friends. It's just that these friends will feel very defined and or interactions limited with boundaries. In other words, as adults we start defining relationships by social circles. They'll make hobby friends, and work friends, and exercise, sports friends, and friends of friends, spouses, friends, and all of them will help fill a social need ... But it's going to feel awkward the first time, or perhaps any time you broach a topic or ask a favor that goes beyond that social context. In Seinfeld, there's an episode about that where they call it level jumping, or pursue a sensitive or intimate topic. For example, I have plenty of work friends, some that I've known for years and that I'd see every day, but I'm not going to bring up specific topics or pop in for a random visit to their house on the weekend or ask them to listen to a half-hour crying session if I get dumped. So it can feel a bit shallow. Just know that a lot of the people you interact with casually feel the same way you do, and probably assume you have other friends you hang out with. The problem is that everyone's afraid to be the one to make the first move to progress the friendship. You'll never make friends without taking a risk at some point, unless you run into someone who's really friendly and outgoing who just pulls you into their group, but you can't just wait around for that. I highly recommend volunteering. I moved to Philly 2 years ago and immediately started volunteering at a local non-profit queer bookstore. I made a bunch of friends like me, bookworms/weirdos, and really got connected to the community. I have a lot of social anxiety and having a clear objective, working in the store, helped ease that. Years ago I looked at my friend group and realized that we'd all been brought together by one person who was a natural organizer. and constantly came up with ideas for activities, nothing special, just walks, kayak trips, cinema visits, that sort of thing. Sometime later I wanted to form a new group of friends and realized that I had to switch from being the person who looks to others to arrange, to doing it myself, and guess what? It worked. Most people are happy to be given something to do, and they will form groups around people that come up with activities. This is pretty good advice as long as you remember that not everybody at a class or in the office is looking for new friends. I'm happy being a loner, and when I go to classes it's because I want to learn the thing. I'm happy enough to be sociable at the class, but get very uncomfortable when someone tries to cultivate me as a friend. I had to stop going to a novel writing group because one woman was determined to make me into her writing friend. She wanted the kind of friend who would spend hours at her kitchen table talking plots and drinking wine and wouldn't take the fucking hint that that wasn't me. This one is tough. It depends on your age and the age of kids you're with. I was a leader for older girls, but because I didn't yet have kids, the parents weren't interested in hanging out with me. Plus the parents were a lot older. Then the other leaders were also much older with older kids or very young and still in early college. If I was to do it again, I'd go with the younger groups so the parents are more my age and there are generally more leaders with the younger girls. I second this. It's significantly easier to make friends and connect, especially if you're shy, if you have mutual interests. Even if you don't share the same level of enjoyment in the hobby. It's also a great way to get closer to someone if you do already know them, and opens up an opportunity to have them talk about themselves so you can learn more about them and who they are. Go to a repeating class at a gym or yoga studio, or volunteer at a yoga studio or gym class. Get a part-time job or volunteer somewhere interesting to you and meet coworkers over time, like a museum, community center, library, foreign language school, cultural center. I know it's hard. I also don't drink. I've missed out on many friendships and several relationships with people I felt naturally compatible with because of it. It's a real bonding part of social life for the apparently large majority of society. I was looking for this. My response was gonna be, if you have substance abuse and/or mental health issues, recovery groups, group therapy, outpatient or inpatient, is a really immediate way to meet people. It sounds awful, but you're in a room of other people who have similar problems, which brings an obvious topic of conversation so it's not too awkward, and it's a way to cut through the bullshit and actually be a little vulnerable with strangers, which builds the friendship bonds really quickly. On the other hand, it's a terrible place to meet people to date. Don't do that. In my experience, adults don't want friends, they want activity partners. Pick an activity that you enjoy doing, find some people to do it with. If you're lucky, some friendships will organically arise from that. If you're really lucky, they'll even stay friends with you after one or both of you stop doing that activity. But mostly, people just want activity partners. Yeah, this is hard for me. I just like being part of people's lives. Everyone is always doing things. Can't we all just chill, talk, blah? I like doing activities a lot too, but they take a lot of solo time to get better at. My turn to shine since I moved countries 3x as an adult. Ranked from most effective to least. Work. Never eat lunch alone. Organize hangouts after work. Professional networking organizations. Nothing bonds more than hating your industry, job together. Going out alone and chatting up strangers. Women here and have befriended men who approached me this way. So don't say this won't work for men. You just have to genuinely want to be friends instead of being a creeper. If you have kids and they have kids, they'll want to be friends. Reddit. If someone in a niche subreddit you're into happens to mention they live in your city, just go, hey, I live there too. Want to meet up? The more niche the sub, the higher chance of making friends. Random fun classes/activities. If you're both into it, you probably will click. Online dating. Surprisingly made many good friends of this. Of course some were with benefits. New mom groups. Everyone is depressed to a certain degree. Sleep deprived and desperate for support. Social media. Made a few genuine friends, also got some creepers, so it's a gamble. Alright, genuinely curious. I'm 21, never had many friends, was relentlessly bullied until I finally got to fucking college. On top of being bullied, I have severe trauma and struggle with trusting people. I'm in therapy and working on this. However, my biggest struggle is that I feel a compulsive need to compartmentalize all aspects of myself. Work me, family me, real me, school me, and friend me are all very different versions of me. I find people at work who seem super chill, but even if they ask me to come hang out, I just can't. Like, I find it incredibly difficult to socialize with people outside of designated areas of life. If I met you at work, you're a work friend. If I met you at school, you're a school friend. Going out and meeting people also feels really weird and uncomfortable. I don't know if this makes sense, but suggestions are welcomed. Work. Never eat lunch alone. Organize hangouts after work. I don't understand this. Are you working somewhere where there's people your age? All but 1 or 2 jobs I've had, every job since college, I've been the youngest person by a long shot, with no one around my age that has any similar interests. The older people try to make some conversation, but it's either always about their kids, I don't have any and don't want any, or sports, no thank you. Maybe the weather, or a current event if something interesting happened. My current job, there's not even a lunchroom for office staff to use. Even if I did have someone I wanted to socialize with. Everyone says work is the best way to make friends, but I've never made a single friend at any job I've had in the past 15 years, because there's been no one I've wanted to be friends with that worked there at all. Just don't know what I'm doing wrong, I guess. Slight add-on for your comment about work complaints bringing people together. Yes, true, but if you're also branching out and meeting people that don't work with you, that is probably the #1 boring, annoying, excluding topic for that person to sit and listen to. My wife and most of our best friends are all teachers. Often I'm the only one who isn't. I've known these people for years, but sometimes I still feel super bored or alienated by all the teaching talk during hangouts. Reddit. If someone in a niche subreddit you're into happens to mention they live in your city, just go, "Hey, I live there too. Want to meet up?" The more niche the sub, the higher chance of making friends. This works BTW. Well, it was not on Reddit but in a niche hobby forum, but we've been friends for 8 years now ever since. Be passionate about some stuff that adds substance to your life. You don't need a lot of friends when you talk to people, strangers, co-workers, etc. Be your 100% genuine self. This should help you avoid being a doormat. If you find you're still a doormat, you should revisit step 1. My best friend and I really only share a couple things: our love of gangster rap and 90s hardcore punk, and our beliefs in undying, over-the-top self-empowerment. That's not exactly shit I hear people talking about at parties. Oh yeah, on my way over I was bumping some fucking McBreed and yelling at myself in the rear view, "Look at what you've done with your life, motherfucker. How far you've come. Keep fucking going. Crush the opposition, bitch, let's go." Like I said, be your 100% genuine self. Be passionate about some stuff that adds substance to your life. Any tips for this? For number 3, I'm pretty sure I'm a doormat in all new interactions. I have no passions, long-term goals, dreams, ambitions at all. This definitely makes my 100% genuine self extremely boring, so I tend to either let people talk about themselves the entire time, works fairly often, or let to make it seem like I know what they're talking about. I'm interested in what they are talking about, not sure how to or even if it's possible to change this. Adults don't care if you drink. Now, many adults do enjoy drinking, but actual adults don't really care if you just wanna hang out. I'm in my 30s, I do drink, my wife doesn't. Here's the thing, in your 30s, yeah, I'll go to a brewery or some such. Well, not so much lately. And the whole group will always have a few people not drinking for any or all of the following reasons: driving, pregnant on a prescription that makes it inadvisable, don't feel like it, don't like what's available, the flesh drinks only blood, and generally no one cares if they're a mature group worth hanging out with. Here is the question to ask: Do you mean that you only want to hang out in situations where people aren't drinking? That's a different thing and a bit more limiting. But seriously, mature adults deal with all sorts of reasons people won't drink. This isn't college. No one thinks your coolness is derived from crushing Miller Lights. The only people I've ever seen ostracized from a group of adults are people who are unpleasant, most frequently because they drank way too much. And honestly, in college no one worth hanging out with cared either.